There is something deeply unfair about how the human mind works. You can receive 100 compliments and still go to sleep thinking about the one moment you felt small. You can work hard, improve, grow, and succeed, yet the voice inside your head will still ask, "What if I'm not enough?" Self-doubt doesn't come from failure, it comes from how the brain is trained to protect us from rejection. And that's why this matters, because some people live under constant judgment, constant evaluation, constant pressure, and yet remain emotionally stable. One of those people is Seokjin. Not because he never feels insecure, but because he learned how to manage insecurity before it managed him. What makes Jin interesting isn't fame or success. It's the way he talks to himself, the way he responds to pressure, and the way he protects his sense of self in an environment designed to break it. And hidden inside that behavior is a practical guide to healing from self-doubt that anyone can use. Jin exists in one of the most psychologically demanding environments in the world. Every movement is watched, every word analyzed, every mistake replayed. In situations like that, most people either collapse inward or build their identity entirely on approval. Jin did neither. Instead, he built a stable inner narrative. Psychology tells us that when someone stays grounded in extreme conditions, it's not personality alone, it's systems. Repeated behaviors, repeated thoughts, repeated emotional responses. Jin didn't accidentally become mentally resilient. He practiced it. One of the most visible examples of this is how Jin praises himself. When he calls himself worldwide handsome, it sounds playful, but psychologically, it's powerful. The brain learns identity through repetition. Whatever you say about yourself often enough becomes familiar, and whatever feels familiar starts to feel true. Most people repeat criticism internally without realizing it. Jin does the opposite. He uses humor and self-praise to normalize confidence in his own mind. This directly counters negativity bias, the brain's tendency to remember criticism more strongly than praise. Jin doesn't wait for external validation to repair internal damage. He preloads self-worth before doubt can take hold. This isn't arrogance, it's preventative care, and the reason it works is because the brain doesn't distinguish between serious self-talk and playful self-talk. It only registers repetition. Over time, that repetition becomes identity. Another reason Jin stays mentally steady is that he refuses to tie his worth to perfection. He openly admits he isn't the best at everything. He doesn't pretend otherwise. That honesty is important because perfectionism isn't discipline, it's fear disguised as standards. Psychologically, perfectionism is linked to anxiety, burnout, and chronic self-criticism. Jin separates performance from identity. He allows himself to rest without guilt. He allows himself to be imperfect without punishment. That sends a message of safety to the nervous system. It says, I am still accepted even when I'm not exceptional. Most people never experience that safety. They believe mistakes are dangerous. Jin proves they're survivable. And when mistakes stop feeling dangerous, self-doubt loses its leverage. Watch how Jin handles criticism, and you'll notice something else. He doesn't spiral. He doesn't obsess. He doesn't replay negative comments endlessly. He lets them pass. This aligns with a psychological skill known as cognitive diffusion, the ability to see thoughts as events rather than truths. Jin doesn't argue with negative thoughts. He doesn't fight them. He simply doesn't give them authority. Most self-doubt survives because we negotiate with it. We analyze it. We give it airtime. Jin doesn't. He treats negative thoughts like background noise. And when you stop treating every thought like a verdict, your emotional system begins to calm down naturally. Another key reason Jin's confidence feels light instead of forced is that he celebrates small wins. Neurologically, this matters more than most people realize. Celebrating progress releases dopamine, which reinforces motivation and builds confidence loops. If you only celebrate major achievements, your brain spends most of its life feeling behind. Jin doesn't wait for milestones to feel successful. He teaches his brain that effort itself counts. Small victories matter. Showing up matters. Trying matters. Over time, this trains the nervous system to associate action with reward instead of anxiety. That's why his confidence feels stable. It's built on evidence, not pressure. Now, at the center of everything Jin does is self-compassion. This is the most overlooked part of mental strength. Self-compassion isn't self-pity, it's self-support. Research consistently shows that people who practice self-compassion recover faster from failure and experience less emotional distress. Jin doesn't shame himself into growth, he encourages himself through it. He doesn't abandon himself when things go wrong. Most people do the opposite. They become their own harshest critic the moment they fail. Jin becomes his own ally. And that changes everything. Because healing from self-doubt doesn't happen when you succeed. It happens when you fail and still feel worthy of kindness. Before important moments, Jin also visualizes success, but not in the way people usually imagine. He doesn't visualize perfection or applause. He visualizes calm. He visualizes stability. This kind of mental rehearsal activates the same neural pathways as real experience. It trains confidence before reality confirms it. By the time the moment arrives, his mind has already been there, and that familiarity reduces fear. Visualization doesn't guarantee outcomes, but it reduces uncertainty, and uncertainty is where self-doubt thrives. When you put all of this together, a pattern becomes clear. Jin isn't confident because the world praises him. The world praises him because he made peace with himself first. Healing from self-doubt isn't about becoming fearless or loud or dominant. It's about becoming internally aligned. It's about choosing self-respect over self-attack. It's about practicing loyalty to yourself in small, repeatable ways. You don't need fame. You don't need permission. You don't need to become someone else. You need to stop treating yourself like an enemy. Jin shows us that confidence isn't a personality trait. It's a daily practice. And that practice is available to you right now. You don't heal self-doubt all at once. You outgrow it slowly by how you speak to yourself, how you respond to mistakes, and how you protect your inner world. That's the real lesson of the Jin method. And once you understand that, confidence stops feeling distant. It becomes familiar, stable, quiet, yours.